ledge? I've always thought we'd need to remodel our house.
Hold on, let me call a guy I know. Oh, good heavens.
Hey guys, it's me.
You can't do that, Seamus. Someone's gonna get hurt.
More importantly, me.
Sledge left the house, depressed, and because he was so loudly sledging all over the place, he got C4'd. So how do we avoid this predicament? It's quite easy. Introducing the breach charge, and all the more efficient, strong, and safe ways to use them.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're gonna learn something new about breach charges. There's a method, a trick if you will, a top 10 things that the pros don't want you to know about, something simultaneously strong, simple, and efficient, and not a lot of people use this method when they should. It all has to do with the radius of the breach charge's explosion and how you can best maximize it. Vertical play is the biggest topic here, so if you're unaware of what that means, it's all about using vertical elements, up and down, like destructible ceilings and floors. As you already know in Siege, you can do that. You can break floors. If you know where the objective is and you know it provides you a way to play vertically, oftentimes that is what you should do. It's a lot more difficult for your enemies to fight you this way compared to a traditional engagement, and there's other benefits too. Sometimes though, as you've seen happen to poor Sledge in the intro, you can make noise with a charge and be blown up too. So to make this vertical play easier for you, I'd like to share this very simple method using breach charges that's even used in competitive play. It's quite simple. Instead of placing a breach charge on the floor like you normally do, place one on the wall next to the floor you want to break, at crouch height, as low as you can get. What this will do is provide you a steeper angle, often strong angle, into the rooms below while also giving you more room to maneuver at the same time. You know, since this way you break both the wall and the floor with a single kaboom. You also generally avoid standing in the middle of the rooms where you're most likely to get caught by a C4, while still denying key positions. On top of this, enemies below can't even hear you place a charge on the wall. They can if you place it on the floor. Of course, you can still sort of do this with Buck and Sledge, but breach charges are often overlooked here. This will work anywhere, even in a map like House. Let's say the objective is on the first floor of Cafe Dostoevsky, where the kitchen side is playable. You approach the defender's setup from above, as attacking kitchen head-on will be difficult, even if traditional, while the rest of your team is busy elsewhere. Of course, you always run the risk of having to clear out roamers, and sometimes requiring flank watch, especially in solo queue, but if you spot the opportunity to do it, why not, right? Let's try the same method again on the map Oregon, above kitchen and kids room, and look at the angles we can achieve. Even from big tower to attic. If vertical play turns out to be one of your goals in the round, try not to spend your breaches on barricades, even castle barricades on your way there. If your intention is to primarily attack from above, keeping all 3 breaches can be vital. Of course, if you see an opportunity to do differently, then do so, but our focus currently is on vertical play and how you can maximize your impact. And speaking of maximizing your impact, you'll probably want to use the same method to making sure the explosion covers more than just your intended thing to break. Try placing the breach over the floor by the corner of a hatch. You'll still destroy the hatch, you get extra angles more difficult for defenders to shoot through. If there's a soft floor, it also works with thermite and destroys reinforced electrified hatches. You can even do this on barricades. With 3 breach charges, you don't just want the same angles, you want to be more surgical and deny as many important positions as you can. Normal floor breaches are still fine. The goal is to threaten or remove the positions defense can sit in. You're not immune to defenders fighting back. Always be aware of C4 and shotguns from below. Having a mental image of the ruins below you is great, and the one thing playing around with vertical a lot does is help you learn even more about the maps that you think you know in the deeper, more 4-dimensional way. Above all else though, there's something far more important than vertical play, and that is the fact that a lot of people will think that they know what they want, but they really don't. Okay, that's cool, Zantus, but why make a video specifically on breach charges? Thanks for the comment, for Reality Lover 99. There's 2 answers to this question. First, breach charges are my favorite secondary gadget ever, as without it, the amount of routes you can take on attack can become very limited, and vertical play is not possible with anyone who has them. Second, while making this video, I actually realized I could cover another separate topic. Something that I like to call dynamic angle permutations, DAP for short, but that would take a much longer separate video to fully convey. In essence, DAP is all about making use of unexpected directions, making it more difficult for your opponent to know where you're going to go or where you're coming from, micro and macro. It's a mastery of one part of game sense. I might make a whole video on this at some point if y'all want me to. Back to breach charges though. New rotations or vertical holes made with them are a soft breaching alternative on operators that don't normally have those tools or gadgets. So to me, breach charges are really underrated. I find myself needing it more than I do claymores. Any operator that has it is equipped with such a basic yet round-changing tool that knowing how you can maximize its use makes it pretty hard to ignore. You can turn operators like Kali, Thatcher, Nomad, or even Blitz into a vertical player in an instant. The thing I often see, however, is that mostly players will limit it to thinking it's just for blowing open walls and floors, and while true, there's still a lot more elegance to it. I hope this video has shown you at least a bit of that. And hey, that's the end of it. I sincerely hope you've learned something new with all this, and that you're able to apply that something new in your matches, maybe even with your own twist. Post some clips. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos, so stay tuned for a really good one. Thanks. Keep on keeping on.